Okay, hi, good evening, guys, and welcome to the webinar tonight. I'm just going to wait for just probably a few minutes. I noticed that some people are joining. My name's Bearden, and I want to welcome you on this webinar tonight. I can see that many people are joining right now. So just as I say, I'll wait just a few minutes. I'm really excited about this webinar tonight. We're going to be talking about the future of payments. For those of you that know what this is about, that's fantastic. For those of you that's your first time here, I'm really excited to share this information. And of course, I'll answer a lot of questions later on as we get in more into this webinar. Okay, fantastic. Okay, I'm just going to get started, and I do notice that people are joining. I just want to check if everyone can hear me loud and clear. There should be a chat box just below you to the either to the left or to the right, depending on how it's set up. Can you just please, can somebody just type in the chat box so you can hear the audio, that the audio is loud and clear, just so I know that you can hear me fine and I can continue the webinar. So you should see a chat box just below if you can just type in if you can hear the audio. Great. Okay, fantastic. Okay, that's great. So as I said, welcome on this call tonight. It's really great to have people coming on, and I'm sure that my aim is to really help you take away some information that can help you make a decision tonight. Now, it's all about the future of payments, and interestingly enough, the one thing that I want you to be able to take away from this is how you've got an opportunity right now that you can profit from the future of payments. Now, to give you an example, when I talk about digital currency, I talk about cryptocurrency that I'm going to explain. There's so many people getting involved in that at the moment, and it's a topical subject because there's something going on that's going to change the way we pay for things in the future. And many banks like we have representatives from the Royal Bank of Scotland. We have somebody in our teams from the Royal Bank of Scotland. I don't know if he's on the call yet, but he introduced a few of the members that are on tonight. And again, things are changing the way the bank do things. So banks like HSBC, all the banks are working on this thing called the blockchain and digital currency, and it is the future. So I don't expect you to understand everything tonight, but I want to be able to give you a basic understanding, just to let you know my background for years was financial services and investments, and I'm also involved in forex trading. So I do have some knowledge, but none of that really matters tonight, and it's not really about me. It's about everybody here and about how you can make an informed decision. So just to get started, we really need to understand how currencies evolved. We're going through a financial revolution at the moment. And initially, when we started trading, we started with a barter system. And then we moved on to gold. Gold was discovered. And of course, the value of gold is driven simply by supply and demand. And what happened? The middlemen came in and says, you know what? Rather than you carry your gold about, give us your gold. We'll give you these things called paper tokens, which is money today. That's money today. And that system worked really, really well. It worked really well until the 1970s with the US government, and we've got to understand that the US dollar is what controls all the other currencies. Everything's measured off the US dollar. And when the US government stepped in and says, you know what, we're no longer using gold to back money, they simply took that away. It became fiat currency, and ever since then, there's always been an issue. And it's created a lot of issues for a lot of different countries. Look at countries like Greece and all around the world, banks and other institutions suffer because of the decisions that certain people make. Then we moved on to a card system, and then from there, many of you maybe remember when PayPal was in its infancy, and now today, many people use PayPal, many people use Apple Pay, contactless, all sorts of digital systems. Well, it's taken a step further because we're moving into a fully digital system where it's going to be using cryptocurrency, and I'll explain exactly what that is. So we know what the issues with currency are, and because of these issues with currency, that's basically why we're moving on to a digital system. Nowadays, the banks, if they need more money, what do? They simply print more money, or the government borrows money, and then they have to pay the loans back. So that creates an issue. When we think about money that we've got in our pocket today, we assume if we've got £100 in our pocket, then it's worth £100. But the question you've got to ask yourself, is that the case? Because if we go back 6 or 7 weeks or 8 weeks before Brexit, then £100 was worth a lot more compared to the euro. And we really don't consider that at times unless we have to exchange money, unless we're going on holiday. So that's something to really, really bear in mind. Now, what's the solution and how's that going to impact us? And more importantly, I want to really share with you the one thing that I really want to get across today for everyone on this is, can you profit from digital currency, from what's going on in terms of the financial revolution? And I'm going to share with you exactly how you can profit. Whether you choose to look at this company or any other company, things are going to are happening in the industry that are going to change everything, going to change the way we pay for things, it's going to change the whole future. So cryptocurrency, it's a digital currency, it's intangible. The value is driven just like gold by supply and demand. And a company called Bitcoin was the very first one in 2009. So if many of you have heard of Bitcoin, some of you might not have heard of Bitcoin. And basically the technology behind that is the blockchain technology. And the blockchain technology is simply the ledger, the audit ledger that records all the transactions on the system. And this technology is not only going to be used, cryptography is not only going to be used for making payments, but things like downloading music today. People can download music for free because they can get around the system. Downloading films, so there's a lot of piracy going on. So this blockchain technology, and especially cryptography, can stop all that. So they're going to use it for things like that as well. And it's a much more secure system. It's a much faster system. So let's look at the Bitcoin success story just to give you an indication. So Bitcoin, when it first started, many people, when it first started, it was new. People said it was a scam, it was a Ponzi scheme, it was never going to work, it's valueless, it's never going to have any value. And at first it didn't have much of a value because it was valued at 10 cents. Now, bearing in mind that Bitcoin took 3 years to go on a public exchange where it was available to the public, so people traded it between the members in the beginning. At 10 cents, nobody really paid attention. Then it jumped to $35. The Asia countries started paying attention. All of a sudden, you had this hike up to 1,045, and it peaked in 2013 at $1,200. So can you imagine coming in and buying, say, just £30 worth of Bitcoin in 2009, beginning of 2009 for 10 cents, and selling that for over $1,200 per coin? Now that would mean you would make a substantial profit. Of course you would. And the reason why many people made a lot of money from Bitcoin is simply because at that point it was all over the news that it jumped up to $1,200, and many people sold out at that point. You can see some people that made money from Bitcoin here. And this is just examples, but what about the normal individual, the guy that spent just $27? Here's an example. There's many other examples all over the internet. This guy spent $27 on Bitcoin. He forgot all about it. 2013, it was all over the news, and he cashed it in for $886,000. So my question to everyone right now is, if you can educate yourself, many people miss out on Bitcoin simply because they didn't take the time to educate themselves about it. If you can educate yourself about cryptocurrency, then there's a possibility that you can profit from it. Another person that's part of this group as well, he joined way back in April, and he's a guy that runs his own business, really successful business. And basically, he tells me the story about when he was at his friend's, a guy called Raymond, a Chinese guy called Raymond, had mentioned Bitcoin to him and said, you know, why don't we look at Bitcoin? He looked at Bitcoin at the time. He decided to pass on it. He thought, you know, this is never going to work. It's never going to become valuable. It looks like a scam, because many things do look like a scam when they first start. And he passed up on it. And the guy Raymond, he put £5,000 in, and today he moved to London, then moved to Australia, and guess what? He made 7.2 million simply putting £5,000 in. So it's all about risk and reward. And that's everything. And we've got to be willing to take a risk. So how does it all work? And what we're here to talk about today? Well, today there's many coins on the market. There's over 600 cryptocurrencies on the market right now. The only one that's usable is Bitcoin. That's the only one that you can really spend in certain locations. Many locations around the world will accept Bitcoin. Richard Branson recently bought one of his airlines, spent 600 million, and he saved 15 million in fees. So that's another advantage of using digital currency. We're here to talk about the company called Onecoin, and most of these coins that are on the market, people are trading, buying and selling them, and they're making money that way. With Onecoin, of course, you can trade that within the members, but also one of the things that we're going for is usability of the coin. And the first one that wins the race, it's like the mobile phone industry. Today, you've got two mobile phones. Really, you've got two main competitors. You've got Apple and you've got Samsung. And I'm sure many of you on this webinar remember the days of Nokia. You remember the days of Motorola. So how many people today go out and buy a Nokia phone? or a Motorola. It's very few. There is a minority, but it's very few. How many of you remember MySpace, for example? Where's MySpace? Simply because something came along that people preferred, that was a lot better, that looked at what MySpace had done and says, we can do this, but we can do it better. That's exactly where OneCoin are right now. We're in phase one of this opportunity. This company is just over 2 years old, September 2014. And the aim is to be the number one cryptocurrency in the world. So let's look at the founder, the people behind it, which is really important. It's a Dr. Ruja Ignatova. She's got a PhD in law from the University of Oxford. She's also got a master's degree in economics from the University of Constance. She was a former associate partner of a company called McKinsey and Company. Now, McKinsey and Company only really interview the top 2% in the class, and they're a global management consultancy company. You can go and Google them. She's also written 2 books on cryptocurrency, translated into 3 languages. She's been featured on various magazines, and she was invited to be the keynote speaker on the European EU Summit, the 4th European EU Summit. That was organised by a company called The Economist. So I'm sure many of you know that particular organisation. So she's well respected within the industry. Her background is investment and banking, and so that's the kind of person. And her vision is so strong. Her vision is to take this company to 10 million, 10 million members, 1 million merchants in terms of usability of the coin, in terms of shops, restaurants, hotels, etc., and a coin value of €25 in the next 2 years. So importantly enough, let's just look at what's happened with this coin so far, because that's really, really important to give you an understanding. When the coin first started, it valued at 50 cents because it's got to start off with a base price. And it's gone up around about 11 times so far. And the most recent increase was in August. In August, it went up to €6.95. The prediction for the end of the year is 15 plus euros. Will it reach 15 plus euros? I don't know, but today it's at 6.95, and we know that it should go up pretty shortly. It's consistently gone up simply because at the moment there's so much demand for the coin that many members are coming on board and mining this coin. So if you wanted to get involved, the question is, how would you get involved right now? It's all about education. It's all about educating yourself, doing your due diligence, and deciding if it's something you want to come on board with. So let's look at how we do that. And let's look at why. Why would you look at this company as opposed to Bitcoin? Can you trade Bitcoin right now? Of course you can. You can trade Bitcoin. If you're willing to put in, Bitcoin's trading at around about $600 right now. So one coin will cost you $600. So if you're willing to put a substantial amount in, of course you can profit from Bitcoin. But the question to ask yourself, has Bitcoin reached its maximum value? Maybe not. It could go up $100, it could go up $200, or it could go down $100 or down $200. So you've got fluctuation in the coin. But at $600 per coin, you need quite a substantial amount to make a profit. If you look at Onelife right now, phase one of this opportunity, it's pretty young in terms of the company. It's created over 300 millionaires in the first 12 months. These are all facts. These can be checked. 30,000 members earning 6 figures. The sales of this company is 125 million a week in sales. That's 500 million a month. We've got over 2.5 million members in 190 countries. And a lot of this information is just factual, because you've got to ask yourself, well, what does this mean for me? We've got 4,000 people coming on board every single day, over 4,000 people worldwide. $1 billion in revenue in only the first 12 months. Not many companies have done that. We all know of a company called Microsoft. We all know of a company called Apple, and we probably have a company called Groupon. If I take Microsoft, they took 9 years to reach $1 billion. Apple took 7 years. And one of the fastest companies to achieve that was Groupon, 2 years and 7 months. The other thing about this is that in two months after that, we reached over $2.2 billion in revenue. And to date, this company has achieved over just under $6 billion, and that's in less than 2 years. And we're only getting started with this opportunity right now. It's fresh, it's new, and we're in phase one. And phase one is where you want to be. So the question to ask yourself is, okay, this is all great, but why do we need digital currency? What is digital currency for a start? Is if you take a £50 note, for example, imagine that you take the serial number off the note and you place it on a computer, or you place it in an e-wallet or on your phone, and you store that in a digitally coded way. That's simply what cryptocurrency is. That's a simple way of explaining it. Now, in terms of using this, the vision in terms of the future of payment is to reach the unbanked world, is to reduce the fees in terms of transfer fees. People pay up to 29% to transfer money. But on top of that, one of the most important things is preservation of wealth. Because right now, today, people are losing faith in the banks. People don't want to put all their money in the banks. People would rather invest their money into, when things aren't going that well, they'll move into gold. People will move into property. So there's so many different avenues that people would rather move into rather than leave money in the bank. And most of you know today, the interest rate in the bank isn't that great. And so things are changing. The banks, all the banks are working on their cryptocurrency. It's simply the future, and that's what we're moving towards. So if you wanted to get involved today, how would you do that? The first thing is our product, and what we promote is education. It's all about education. And that's what the product is. So when you come in and you get involved with Onecoin, simply buying an education package. But with that education package, you get free tokens. And these free tokens are mined for the cryptocurrency, which is Onecoin. The value will all be in the coins, which is Onecoin. It's intangible, so you're not going to receive any coins through the post. But interestingly enough, when I talk about mining, I want to explain that. The mining process is really simple. Let's say, for example, I wanted to create a cryptocurrency and we start off with a number 5. How many combinations in terms of addition can we get to the number 5? Well, I've got 3 plus 2, I've got 4 plus 1, I've got 5 plus 0. So that's 3. So that means we can make 3 coins from the number 5. Now, if you imagine, when more and more people start to come on board, more and more people start to mine the coin. And mining the coin is the computer calculation, the algorithmic calculation to do that calculation that I just did. 3 plus 2, 4 plus 1, 5 plus 0. It's simple. Take the number 100. How many coins can you mine from that? You can't work that out from using just for your mind. You have to use a server. You have to use a computer to do that. And as the number gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and more people mine the coins, it gets more and more difficult to do that calculation. So you need bigger servers, you need different equipment, and you need more people doing it. So I want you to consider that. So let's look at all the different packages and what these can do for you. So we have various different packages to suit different budgets. We have packages starting off at around about €550, all the way up to 27,500 euros, and even packages at 188,000 euros. And it's all about risk and it's all about affordability. So when you look at this, for example, you'll see this number 1 here, you see a 1, the red numbers here. What does that mean? Well, that simply means that basically there's something called a split. When you come on and you get involved, you get your package, you get your education package, you get these tokens. So let's take, for example, the Tycoon package. You get 60,000 tokens. What happens is you can submit that straight to the mining pool and wait for your coins to be produced. And of course, you'll get a number of coins if you do that. However, if you wait for what you call a split on the system, your tokens, when the split happens, will double. So in this example, you get 2 splits, and I'll explain that as we go forward. And as I say, I'll take any questions. Let's look at the summary. Somebody comes in, they get involved, they choose their education package, you get your free tokens, you wait for your splits, you submit your coins once you've had all your splits into the mining pool, depending if it's 1, 2, 3, or 4 splits, and then you get your coins. All the values in the coins, that's where the value is. How do you access your coins? You can access them by using the MasterCard, connected to the MasterCard, so that you can get access to the coins. Or if you've got your coins, you can choose to sell them, you can choose to keep them. So there's various different options. Let's look at an actual example. So I'm taking the Tycoon package, €5,500 with a starter. Everybody in the UK needs a starter package at €140. And that combination will give you 3 splits. 1 split on the starter, 2 splits on the Tycoon. And basically what happens, you come in, 5 levels of education's opened up, you get 60,000 tokens, you wait for your first split. Each split takes on average about 30 to 60 days. So first split, your tokens double to 120,000, second split to 240,000, third split, 480,000. The difficulty, the mining difficulty, which continues to go up, this is the mining difficulty, and that's what I explained to you, that as more and more people mine the coins, then it gets more and more difficult to do the calculations, and that mining difficulty will go up. So at the moment it's 70 to 1, that means for every 70 tokens you get 1 coin. So what you need to look at here, the basics of this is 5,500 is the cost of this one. It opens up 5 levels of education, and at the end of the day, if you wait for all the splits, you'll have 6,857 coins. And what does that mean in terms of in monetary value? Well, at today's coin value, 695 is 47,656 euros. At 10 euros, if the coin goes up to 10 euros, it's 68,500. If it goes to 15 euros, then it's 102,855. And of course, many people look at these figures and say, wow, it's too good to be true. And of course it is, it's too good to be true, but it's already happened. It's already happened with Bitcoin. It's happening with so many cryptocurrencies. You've got Ripple coin, you've got Ethereum, and all these cryptocurrencies go through fluctuations. If a coin goes from 0.001 to even 5 cents and you own £1,000 worth of that coin, then of course you're going to make a substantial amount of money. So it's just like as if history is repeating itself in terms of the value of the coin. As I say, the value of the coin is scheduled to be, they're talking about 15 plus euros by the end of the year. But what happens if it only goes to 10 euros or 8 euros or 9 euros? When I got involved, it was 5.25. It's now 6.95. So it's just a matter of time. Now I want you to look, I'm just going to show you all the packages here. There's various different packages, and what I recommend you do is you speak to the person that invited you onto this webinar, and they can explain in more detail about the package and the one that will suit you depending on your budget. As you can see here, all you need to really look at is the price of the package. And you really want to be looking at, okay, how many coins? Because all the value is in the coins. The obligation of Onecoin, of course, is to deliver the education package, which is delivered through a series of tutorials, videos, MP3s, PDFs. And you get these tokens, and these tokens are mined for the coin. So if you look here, the Tycoon package, for example, gives you 3 splits, 6,857 coins. You can look at the Pro Trader, gives you 571 coins, and some of the bigger packages give you more coins. Now, what I will say is there is a promotion at the moment, and that means that if you get involved, I think the split barometer in the back office, the split will happen in the next week or so. And when that happens, your first split, if you get in before that split, the first split will be a double split. That means instead of going from 60,000 to 120, it'll go straight to 240,000, and you'll have another 2 splits. So what it basically means is you end up with 960,000 tokens and double the amount of coins. That's effectively what it means. And that promotion will end, I think it ends after, if you have to do it before the first split. We also have another package called a Tycoon Plus. What does that mean? Basically, the advantage of this is you get slightly more tokens, and the difficulty, the mining difficulty is fixed. It stays at 69. So regardless of what the difficulty level goes up, it will always be 69, effectively meaning that you're going to end up with more coins at some point in the future. So in terms of the detail, we also have various different combination packages that people can do, like a combination of Tycoon, Premium, Infinity. There's so many different combinations you can do. It all depends on budget. So the most important thing right now about this coin is talking about the value of the coin, where the coin's going to go. And for many people on the coin, it's like, okay, what can I do with this coin? That to me is a really important question. It's great looking at the coin, but what can I do with it? Once I have the coin, I want to know how do I liquidize it? Can I get access to it? How quickly can I get access? Really, really important question. So once you own the coins, once you've mined the tokens, you own the coins, what can you do? You have so many different choices. The first one is you can sell your coins at the current market value. So today's market value is 695. Depending on what package you've got, you can sell. There's so many coins you can sell on the platform every single day. So for example, for a Tycoon package, you can sell coins to the value of 60 euros every single day. I'm sure everyone would agree that if somebody comes in and they get involved, they take a Tycoon package, 5,500 euros, and they expect in 2 months that they're going to withdraw 47,500. I think everyone here would agree that that would be too good to be true, and that would probably be the definition of a Ponzi scheme. So we're not about people coming in and it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's looking at something that potentially can be really good in terms of the asset value in the future. Of course, you're welcome to sell a few coins. Many people want to get their initial amount out, and then there's no risk whatsoever. Or you can hold on to all your coins until we had a public exchange, which is scheduled for 2018. And in the beginning, I said Bitcoin didn't have a public exchange. It was 3 years. When it hits a public exchange, potentially the value could go up, it could go down, it could hit 25 euros, 50 euros, 100 euros. We really don't know. So I hope that gives a basic understanding of how the coin and what the coin can do for you. Many people that want to get involved with this coin, this particular company is doing things that no other company has done right now. in terms of the growth of the company, 2.5 million members, in terms of the size of the blockchain, in terms of where it's going and what it's doing within the industry. And like Facebook, when Facebook came along, as I say, we no longer hear about MySpace. If you got involved with Facebook in phase one, you can make a lot of money. Of course, you can join Facebook today. It's completely free. But if you want to use Facebook to your advantage, it's an advertising platform. You need to pay for that. You need to pay for the privileges of accessing their members. Just like Apple today, Apple in terms of most people today, they'd rather have a Mac, or maybe people will either get a Mac or a PC. So today Apple competes in that marketplace, and it's come along. It's come a long way since the early days. So when you look at Bitcoin and everything Bitcoin's done, it's fantastic. Bitcoin was the one that came up with this technology. Bitcoin were the pioneers, but that doesn't mean that Bitcoin is going to be the number one global currency. There's many issues with. There's many great things about Bitcoin. There's many challenges with Bitcoin. One of the challenges is it doesn't have enough coins. It can't produce enough coins. That's one of the challenges. The second challenge right now that I would tell everyone is that Bitcoin will never, ever be a global currency, guaranteed. It's not going to happen, and I'll tell you why. Because the blockchain is completely anonymous. That means when you transfer money on the system, it can't be transferred back to you. That's why Bitcoin recently lost 78 million off their blockchain, because they were hacked, and they have to simply replace that. With Onecoin, it's slightly different, because everyone is identified on the system. In order for you to sell your coins, you have to be verified on the system, which means the same thing will never ever happen to them, because it can simply be traced back. Bitcoin also has a number of issues in terms of when people hack into banks and different organizations, kidnapping, money laundering. It's got all sorts of issues with that because it's not traceable. So in terms of funding terrorism, the choice is Bitcoin. So I want you to really consider that and consider, well, who's going to win the race? And we don't really know, but I'll certainly tell you this. OneCoin is doing things that no other cryptocurrency is doing right now. And I hope that gives you a good explanation of the actual coin side, and for those of you that want involved in the coin. Now, I'm not going to keep you that long. I know I'm going pretty fast through this because I just want you to get a basic understanding. But many of you might be thinking, well, okay, how has this company come along and within 2 years it's done nearly $6 billion in revenue? That's a substantial amount. It's doing over 500 million a week in revenue. How's it doing that? And the way it's doing that is because it came up with this idea of marketing this through a referral marketing system, in other words, word of mouth, using a network marketing model. And I want you to open your mind up for a moment and set aside everything you know about network marketing. For those of you that are involved in the industry, great. For those of you that aren't, the first thing that comes to mind with most people, one of the myths is, wow, that's one of these pyramid schemes. When I speak to people, sometimes they say, well, I don't do these type of things. And I say, I ask the question, what type of things? Or these type of, pyramidy things, but at the end of the day, it's having an understanding. Bill Gates, for example, says that if he'd to start again, he would use network marketing. Once you understand the model and you understand that if you're in the right place at the right time, the right opportunity, then you can obviously profit, depending on what it is. So let's look at the actual industry itself. It's worth $167 billion. And this part that I'm going over is simply optional. You don't need to get involved in the business side. If you want to get involved in the business side, you have that option. If you don't want to get involved in the business side and you simply want to profit from the potential value of your coin, then you can do that. The asset value of your coin, you can do that. But this is optional for anybody that wants to get involved. So you can see that the industries towers above all the other industries in terms of the value. It's actually, I think it's around about 190 billion today. What's the name of the network? Our network is called Onelife. Onelife's the name of the network, and OneCoin is the name of the cryptocurrency. And recently, we just took over the former CEO of a company called, many of you have heard of a company called Amway. Well, recently, their CEO was recruited to come on board with Onelife. He's the new CEO of Onelife, and Dr. Ruja continues to be the CEO of OneCoin. So a company like Amway, for example, has been around for, I don't know, over 40 years. It's a massive company in terms of its revenue. So how does it all work if somebody gets involved? It's really simple. The first thing is what we call a direct sales bonus. It's really simple, 10%. So if somebody comes in and they buy a package and you introduce them onto the system, then you receive a 10% direct bonus. Tycoon, for example, 5,500. Simple, what do you receive? €550. In the first 30 days, if you bring in over 5,500 euros in volume, which is 1 for 1, then instead of paying you 10% in the first 30 days, they'll pay you 20%. The additional 10% is paid in a bonus to your trading account. Now, how do they pay the bonuses? It's split between 60% goes to what you call your cash account, which you can draw on straight away, straight to your bank account. You can take that out immediately. The other 40% goes into what we call your trading account. With your trading account, you must buy coins every single week. And that's what creates the market for buying and selling coins, so that when you come to sell your coins, you've always got that supply and demand, because you need enough people to buy your coins if you're selling your coins. You need enough people to sell your coins if you're buying your coins, and vice versa. Now that would be fine, but if it was just reliant on a direct sales bonus, I hope many people agree with me. That would mean you would continually be out there trying to encourage people to come on board. And it's not network marketing is not about being a salesperson. It's not about being a salesperson. It's not about being consistently selling to people. You see, because we've had many people that have come on board, people that were great at sales, they were great salespeople, and they haven't been successful within this industry simply because all they can see is they want to direct sell, direct sell, direct sell. It's not about that. It's about when you introduce somebody, if that person wants to build their business, you help them become successful with the right tools, the right environment, the right team. It's as simple as that. And if you can help them do that, then if you help as many people be successful, then you'll be more successful. So let's take an example. In this example, when you introduce somebody, there's only two choices. You can put them on your left or your right. We don't have one of these systems where you have 5 people first line, then 5 people second line, 4 people third line, all these traditional models of network marketing that it's really difficult and it's really challenging. It's basically left or right. You put people on your left or on your right. And at the end of the week, the company adds up the total volume that you've brought in and all your team, so the people that you've introduced. So for example, if it comes to 30,000 on your left, 20,000 on your right, the company will pay you 10% on your weaker side. In this example, it's 2,000 euros, and they'll pay you 2,000 euros based on your weaker side. What does that encourage you to do? It encourages you to help your team members to build this weaker side. So you're helping others. It's not just about you, it's about the people that you're introducing, the people that want to build, the people that want to be successful. And then the volume resets for the next week, and you're back to having a weaker side again, and that continues, and that runs to infinity. Then we also have something called a matching bonus. I don't expect everyone to get this first time. We have a matching bonus. How does that work? Basically, I want you to think that if the people that you're introducing are receiving a network bonus on the network, then you will receive a matching bonus depending on what level you joined. So for example, a tycoon trader opens up 4 generations of matching bonus. That means, for example, if I introduce Sharon and Sharon introduces Jim, for example, then Sharon's my first generation. Jim would be my second generation. Let's say Jim introduces Leslie. Leslie would be my third generation. Let's say Leslie introduces Yvonne. Yvonne would be my fourth generation. So what does that mean? So basically, let's look at this. So let's say Sharon, for example, and one of our weeks she earns a network bonus of 1,000 euros. Well, she's in my first generation. If she earns network bonus, I would earn 10% of that network bonus, which would be 100 euros. And let's say Jim earns 1,000 euros network bonus, I would earn 10%. Let's say Leslie earned 1,000 euros, I would earn 200 euros. And let's say Yvonne earns 1,000 euros, I would earn 25%, which is 250 euros. So it's understanding that this is nothing to do with the package that the person, it's nothing to do with the package that you introduce to the person. It's really to do with the network and what's happening on the network. And again, we can go into more detail. So let's look at the leadership program. Like any company, this company rewards you for hitting various different ranks. We have various different ranks within the organization. And within those different ranks, you receive different things such as diamond trips, diamond pins. When you reach certain levels like black diamond, you're rewarded with various different rewards, right up until crown diamond. Crown diamond is the maximum. And you can see that you start off, everyone starts off at the same level. You just build for ranks. You receive various things as you move through the ranks. So let's look at what this company is doing and why it's important to see, well, what makes this company different from a lot of other companies? Now there is a. I'd like you to note this down. There's a, because you can go and Google this yourself. You can go and check this out. There's a website called MLM Business for Home .org. You can see it down the side here. And if you go and Google that, you can Google top earners within the industry, and you'll see a trend happening. You'll see many of the names, many of the companies on this will be OneCoin. They're completely dominating this chart. So much so that many leaders around the world are beginning to join OneCoin. So they're attracting so much, there's so much attention. It's more so that they're attracting many leaders around the world. So you can see that the top earner here, Juha Paralaya, it's sometimes difficult to comprehend, but his income's over 4 million a month. We have the Steinkiller brothers are upline, founders of the One Dream team, over 2 million a month, and many other examples. We have some guys coming up in the next 2 weeks. They're coming to Glasgow. They're going to be doing some training. We're going to have some meetings, and anybody that's around. I know some people aren't from Glasgow, but if you are in around Glasgow, yeah, of course you can attend the meeting. We'll give you details of that. And there's many meetings around the country where you can meet some of these guys. So our upline sponsors from London, they're on over. It's actually over 400,000 a month at the moment. So these are substantial incomes, and there's many examples. If you go onto that site, you can simply Google all the earners within the whole industry. You'll see many of them are from OneCoin. So when you see a trend like that, you know that something's happening. You can see we're going through an explosive growth period. Big teams are moving across. A company, Kinlingus, they moved over 300,000 members over, 400,000 members from OPN, Univa team, 120,000 members. So many organizations are doing due diligence and they're moving their whole organizations over to Onelife, which tells you that the company must be doing something right if all these organizations are moving over. But more importantly, we need to discuss what's the real vision in the next 2 years. And I think I mentioned this: 10 million users around the world, 1 million merchants. Merchants are being able to spend, being able to use the coin so it becomes a usable currency. So that's hotels, restaurants, shops, your local florist, all sorts of, could be cafes or restaurant, anything at all. And that's within 2 years. Now, how are they going to achieve that? Right now, we're in phase one. We've just launched a merchant program, and that merchant program's in phase one. We're starting to introduce merchants into the program. So certainly they've got the brand right now. They're moving towards, they've got more members than any other coin right now. They've got over 2.5 million members. They've done that in a space of in the first 2 years. So the question is what they're going to do in the next 2 years. We're scheduled to go on an open exchange in 2018. And you can see here, this is one of our international conferences in London. The last one was in Thailand, attended by over 10,000 people. So the company is really making a lot of noises within the industry. When you go and Google OneCoin, you'll see lots of information. You'll see some information is positive, and of course you get some negative information. That's just natural, especially at the how it's grown so fast. Banks, for example, don't really like cryptocurrency companies at the moment simply because they see it as competition. And other cryptocurrency companies really don't favor OneCoin simply because this company's come out of nowhere within 2 years and achieved more than any other company on the market right now. So it's going places. This is an example of various different national events. But tonight it's all about you, and I hope that gives you a really basic understanding of cryptocurrency. Whether you choose to join us on this journey or whether you choose to simply continue to educate yourself, what you will find that cryptocurrency is here to stay. It's definitely going to make a difference within the industry. We're not going to be using cash in the next few years. If you can imagine, in 5 years' time, we'll definitely not be using cash because it's not the way forward. If you go and look at any of the information right now, you'll hear about many organizations working on this thing called the blockchain and blockchain technology. But I really appreciate everybody coming on tonight. I want you to really get back to the person. One of the things I'd like to do, I know that you've taken your time to come on this on a Tuesday night, you've given up your time. I'd like to give you the opportunity to test drive this system for free, because for some of you, you might not be ready to join right now, or you might need a little bit more information, you might have some questions. So what I'd like to do is offer every single person on this webinar the opportunity to come on board and test drive the system without putting any money in whatsoever. And I think that's really sensible. So what I'd like you to do is, when you get off this webinar, I want you to contact the person that introduced you, send them a text, send them an email or a WhatsApp message, and ask them to provide you just tell them you were on this webinar tonight, the 9 o'clock webinar, and ask them to provide you with a special link that will allow you to access the back office completely free, so that you can see what's going on, you can familiarize yourself with it, and it takes you right into the back office. Nothing's held back. You can see everything on the system, everything a paid member would see. I recommend you test drive the system for yourself. If you get any questions, simply get back to the person that introduced you, or get back to myself. So what I'd like to do now, just spend the next maybe 3 or 4 minutes just taking any questions. If anybody's got any questions, please just feel free to type in the chat box, which you see probably on your left or your right hand side, and I'll take some questions. So any questions at all, I'm quite willing to take any questions you might have. If there's something you're not sure about, if there's something you want me to explain in a little bit more detail, that's fine. So thank you, Sharon. Yeah, for those of you that are seeing this for the first time, please, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask your question. And there's no such thing, any questions relevant, especially if you, for some of you that have seen, for some of you that know about cryptocurrency, you might have a question regarding the Onecoin system. For some of you that don't know anything about cryptocurrency, you might have a question about blockchain, a question about mining, or any question at all. Okay, great. So it seems that we don't have anyone that has any questions. Certainly, if you once you come off this webinar, if something pops into your mind, simply send the person that introduced you onto this webinar, get in touch with them, ask them any information you need, whether you need a refresh on some of the packages, or whether you've got a question that might come up. Because a lot of the time, when you see a lot of information like this, sometimes questions come up later on. Yes, and as Leslie says, yes, there's a lot of, yeah, Dubai, for example, that's a really good point. If you go and Google blockchain technology, you'll see that certain companies around the world, for example, Dubai, have said that they'll be completely cash free within the next 5 years. So it's all happening right now. But I want you to think about, when would be the best time to get involved? Do you want to wait, sit on the fence, and wait until phase two, three, or four, or do you want to get in phase one? It's a bit like the mobile phone industry. You can get involved in the mobile phone industry right now in terms of repairs. Or was the best time in the sort of late 80s, for example, if you got involved in the mobile phone industry then? Obviously it's a better time, because you have mobile phone repair shops cropping up all over the place. Whereas the time to get involved in an industry like that is when it was just evolving. So it's the same thing like this. There's many people who will miss this opportunity. There's many people that miss Bitcoin. And what I recommend you do is you certainly don't let that happen. If you educate yourself, then you can move forward, and hopefully you can profit from cryptocurrency. So on that note, I'd like to thank everyone for coming on. And I hope to see you at one point, and have a fantastic night, and good night.